Awesome. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Welcome to All Core Depth Testing number 43. Today is July 7th, and we have 4 points in the agenda plus other comments that I want to touch upon that people added recently to the issue. I'll share the link for everyone to take a look. Here's the link. And yeah, we can get started with Fusaka. This is the first topic. So I guess the first thing about Fusaka would be DevNet 2. And I see Barnabas has joined.
Yeah.
Do you have any updates there?
Yeah, sure. So Fusaka DevNet 2 has been unfinalized during the whole weekend. Just late last night, we managed to get back into finalization. I had to exit a few validators. This was due to the fact that Nimbusia was missing too many slots, and it was just a bit easier to try to finalize without them being online. There's still a few validators left for them, and also Nimbus CL had some validators exited. We are currently at 75% last time I checked, so we should be good to go. Prism had some syncing bugs that they are looking into right now, and also Teku had some nodes that were stuck, but that was probably due to just insufficient memory. So yeah, Lighthouse also had a bit of issues with the CGC values earlier on, but I think that has been all resolved.
Thank you. Do we need any updates from the clients now of the open issues? Which ones did you say that need updating?
So the major issues on Nimbus side was the status v2. On Taku's side, it was the syncing bug due to insufficient RAM that has been resolved. We just bumped the RAM of the JVM a bit. But the Taku team is still looking into possible syncing issues. Prism had a syncing issue during the non-finality that has been resolved with a restart during finality. So we might need to do another one or two non-finalization scenarios where these bugs can be caught again. But right now they cannot reproduce it locally.
Okay, makes sense. With this in mind, okay, yes, Matthew?
Yeah, Lodestar. We also found an issue lower level in a libGPT update that got highlighted during non-finality, but we're getting that resolved.
Cool. Anyone from Prism or Teku that wants to give an update and maybe expand on the issues?
Yeah, I can. So for Prism, yeah, so Barnabas tried to reboot the node, Prism node during unfinality. It seemed, and the node was stuck. Now the network is finalizing again. I cannot reproduce the issue. I mean, just rebooting the node we solve the issue and the node is synced up to the chain, up to the tip of the chain now, which is a good and a bad thing. And so yeah, I cannot reproduce the issue on the DevNet now. I try to reproduce the issue on kurtosis. So just basically I created a small network and I created an finalization and I cannot reproduce the issue as well. It syncs, everything syncs normally. That's all I have to say about this issue.
Thank you. Anyone from Teku or Lighthouse wants to give an update?
Yeah, I can go for Lighthouse. Yeah, we had a bunch of sync issues initially, like Barnabas mentioned, and some issues with updating the CDC values. The CDC values thing has been fixed. The sync issues, we have started fixing them. But yeah, I think like in part of fixing them, it was like we figured that some of the issues were related to uh, some clients giving us uh, like when we requested them for columns with data columns by range requests, they were sending us empty responses when they did not have the data, which is like sort of malicious behavior because once we received valid blocks for that range, but we did not receive valid columns for that range. When we tried to couple those two together, there was an issue basically because the columns were invalid at that point. So it was good sort of, it was almost sort of like a malicious test case where uh, peers were returning us invalid values and we had to recover from that. So we basically changed our sync to accommodate for that, where we downscore peers that don't return us correct data column by range values. So once we started doing that, and we eventually started downscoring and dropping those peers, our sync has improved, but we still have like some stuff to do on sync. So like when I was testing this, the clients that I noticed were not returning values sometimes, and Nimbus, sometimes Teku and Grandine as well. So yeah, I think this was like a good test for us as well because we are sort of handling the malicious case now and able to recover from it. So yeah, just letting other clients know as well that they are returning empty values when they shouldn't be. Yeah, and
Okay, thanks.
we are
Okay.
continuing on improving sync at this point.
Thank you. A couple of things on the spec side. Do we need any updates? Do we have any this consideration of returning malicious columns in the spec? Does anybody know?
So, sorry, what do you mean?
Yeah, a spec test is what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think it's hard to have spec tests for it because like there is no set way to recover from this. Like at least on Lighthouse, we basically eventually downscore the peers and uh, eventually end up banning them. So I think this sort of case would be hard to test on a spec test, but I'm not sure.
I agree. I don't think we have a spec test for this, and I don't really know how we would.
Cool. Thanks. Okay, then on the side of the clients that were returning these invalid responses, I think you said Nimbus and Grandin and Teku. Is there any stance on whether they should? I don't think they should be returning this, but is there any comments on those clients? Maybe there's a reason why they were returning like this.
And like just to note also that some of this, like I'm not completely sure that the other clients were also wrong in some of these points because we could have been requesting uh, data columns by range for uh, for a range that is before their earliest available slot, but like uh, some of the peer IDs that I manually checked, those did have like a earliest available slot. Like we were making a request for some for a range that was after earliest available slot. So like it could be an issue on Lighthouse side as well, but like this is just very rough manual testing. So just noting that as well.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. Jumping on to there's a comment on the chat by Barnabas about the backfill implementation. Do we want to go into that topic? Any comments from the clients about backfill? Or if you have more context, Barnabas, that you want to add?
I think everybody knows what I'm talking about.
For Prism, it's still in progress, not yet done.
Yeah, same for Lighthouse as well.
Same for Lodestar.
Teku and Nimbus, any updates? And one question from Bartosz is whether there's any blockers on the implementation that you have found so far, or it's just mainly time that is required.
I think for Lighthouse,
Uh,
I think for Lighthouse, we had to make some changes in the database schema also to sort of introduce the earliest available slot and continuously update it to be able to send it to peers. So like we had to get that done first before actually doing the backfill. So that took a little bit of time, but I think this week we are focusing on the actual backfill implementation, hoping to get it done soon.
Yeah, for us, it was just the complexity of getting debugged for the DevNet. But we'll try to attempt it, I would guess, probably next week. I don't think we'll get to it this week.
Prism, I don't know. I ask internally to the team. I will get back to you as soon as I have an answer.
Thank you. From the other teams, any updates? If not, that's okay. We can follow up on the next call. Any other topics on DevNet 2 that have to be touched? Mainly asking because whether we want to start asking whether we want to schedule DevNet 3, but I don't feel that's the case. Barnabas, do you have any opinion on DevNet 3, or
I
should we
think
defer
we
that?
need. I think we should have a very stable DevNet 2 before we even consider scheduling DevNet 3. There's so many bugs to iron out, and jumping on to DevNet 3 right now would be bad, in my opinion.
I guess to that point, did we actually fix the bugs in DevNet 2 or did we patch them with validator changes?
It's all patched. None of them are fixed.
Do we have a list of what bugs need fixing then?
That's the thing that Manu mentioned, that during finality, he could not reproduce the bug. So we're going to need to do another non-finality test.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks. And maybe it's time to bring another topic that was brought up on ACDE, which is the fork ID issues, I believe, right? So we had this discussion on ACDE that we wanted to introduce EIP 7910. I'm gonna link it in the chat. And basically, this is it_configure endpoint. Thank you. Do we have an update on that from the teams? And I can start with testing side. We have a new command to test this. Basically, we're just lacking the configuration now, but this is something that we have to address with the itpandops team. But this is simple enough. But the main idea is that we are gonna be testing this for all testnets and devnets inside of East. And the main problem that I noticed while implementing this on East is that it doesn't include the fork ID, if I understand correctly. And I think this was the culprit from the issue that we found on ACDE. So with that in mind, what's the status on the teams and opinion also on the inclusion of this EIP? Does anybody have the time to implement it?
Could we actually add fork ID to 7910?
I mean, I think it should be a simple change. Maybe either add it to it_config or add another endpoint. But I don't have a preference over either. It's just a matter of how easy it
Why
is to
would we need
implement
a
for.
different endpoint?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's just an idea. Yeah.
I personally feel like it config would be the perfect place for fork IDs as well. So I would just extend the 7910 with a new field for fork IDs and just list it as an array.
And one comment from Besu is that the current hash in the EIP is the fork ID. I'm not sure, to be honest. Does anybody have the precise answer to that? Is current hash in the EIP the same as fork ID? I don't think it is because it includes the precompiles, which I don't think fork ID ever considered. My guess is that it's not, but anybody else has.
Sorry, what? Fork ID is the same as what?
There's a configuration hash in EIP 7910, it config response. But I don't think it matches fork ID. So the idea is to have.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, but fork ID definitely doesn't have the precompile. All it does is accumulate the fork block number in the Genesis hash.
So if you want to also verify fork ID using id_config, we need to add another field, right?
I'm not sure what information is provided by that endpoint.
Okay, and Gabriel mentions that they can add the fork ID change to the EIP. Awesome. Other clients, does anybody else started to implement id_config? Never mind, Geth. Aragon,
this week.
Yeah, we added this in Aragon today actually, but we'll need to add the fork ID in there as well.
Thank you. I will wait until for adding fork ID until we have the EIP change, just so we have the same format. Yep. Okay, in Aragon, Besu, Nerman, already have something. Does Geth have any updates on this endpoint? Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
I have not implemented it.
Okay, thanks. Who am I missing? Anyone from Red? Thank you. All right. So it seems like most of the teams are planning to implement this week, and we're gonna add the fork ID into the same endpoint, and Besu will have a PR for the EIP. Cool. Okay. I think we can move on and to the next issue. Just give me 1 second. All right. Yeah, so the next point, and we touched upon this last week, so I just brought it up to this week, is the gas limit testing updates. Does anybody know about the benchmark updates that we had in the previous week? That could give an update? I see Joachim and yeah, okay, thank you.
Yes, I can say about our results from our gas benchmark tool, and generally we have the bottleneck is Modex. There is a proposal to increase the pricing aggressively 3 times, but there is still one edge case scenario Gef and Erigon, it's with base and modulo equal 32 bytes and exponent 64 bits. And from what I know, clients are working to optimize it, because there is a strange issue when we have scenario with exponent 64 bits, which is slow, and with 65 bits, it's like 50% faster. So it's probably some implementation detail which should be optimizable. And except of Modex, we found that our test case for point evaluation precompile were broken. Alexi delivered me like the valid input data for it, and right now we see that all the clients are operating at about 32 megagas per second, which is close to minimal requirement for increasing that limit to 100 million. So it wouldn't be a blocker, but it will be for anything above 100 million. And there is also probably some issue with ref, but we are not sure. It's on our dashboard they have only 9 megagas per second, but when we took a look on the raw scenarios, it's like on all gas limits except 60 million, they are performing like other clients, and there must be some edge case at exactly 60 million gas limit where they are super slow. And yes, it's reported to ref guys, and they are taking a look. And probably for Fusaka, there is nothing to do about this precompile, but we need to be conscious that going above 100 million gas limit, it will be a blocker for going above it before the next fork. And I think it's all about the update from gas limit testing.
Yeah, maybe to continue, we also have the Bloatnet effort. So we have about 1.5 times the state of mainnet, and I'm working on setting up a public network there. And once we have that, we'll run a bunch of sync tests and a few tests like with Zen contracts, so we can get a baseline on how it look like with 1.5 times the state of mainnet. And once that's there, we already have the spamming tools in place to continue increasing the state, and we can observe how stuff degrades over time. But that should be ready probably in the next day.
Thank you. I see there are a couple of open PRs for repricings. I shared one in the chat. Does this need to be merged for DevNet 3? Marcin, I think it's your PR for Modex repricing.
Yes, so probably if we don't want if Gef and Erigon probably are not able to optimize enough without changing libraries, and we don't want to it's probably not good for Ethereum in general to use the same libraries in our clients. So if they will keep their ones, probably they're not able to optimize enough to not be a blocker for 100 million. So in this case, we just need to increase the general prices. And in the current shape of this EIP, only 38% of the calls are affected. If you want to increase the pricing, then 100% of calls would be affected anyway. So if we do it, then in my opinion, we should do it like significantly. So this PR is proposing like 3xing it, but there is still this one edge case issue, which they are taking a look at because it will be still too slow even with reacting, and there is like not a good way actually to solve it on pricing area. We would need to increase like minimal gas to 1,500 or something like that. So it would be great to take a look at it and try to optimize, because it should be optimizable. Yes, and I think that's it. Do you have some more questions about it, or some specific areas?
No, not really. I just wanted to move the conversation on whether we have to merge or not. Marius?
Yeah, I can speak on the problem is that yes, it's optimizable. The problem is that it's that we are depending on the Go standard library, so we would need to optimize the Go standard library. And the problem with that is that yes, we can do it, and we've done it before. Like we upstream some changes to the Go standard library, but it takes us like kind of 2 releases of the standard library for this to trickle down into the client. And so yeah, it will take a long time until this.
Just also surfacing a discussion. I think we already agreed to merge this PR in as per ACD last week. So is there any blocker to go ahead with doing that? I think we wanted to wait to see if we can do some outreach and make sure that no one's affected. And if that is true, then we would go ahead with merging, right?
Yeah, so from my side, we can merge it as it is. I generally need to update all the descriptions and like the other parts of the this EAP, but yes, like it will not affect like the equation, just the cosmetic side of this PR. So I will do it like I can do it in another one. And like one last problem with this reacting is that we know that we have one case which is still too slow even after that, and yes, would be great to.
But just to confirm, but it's still just too slow for going over 100 million, right?
Yes, I don't remember the exact number, but there is a scenario which will be below 30 megagas per second for sure. It's right now, like without reacting, it's at 18 megagas per second. Okay, I will do a quick calculation, and I can give you the exact number in a moment. Just don't want to block the conversation right now. Need to calculate it.
No worries. We can also do it offline later if you want. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think Tim mentions that the feedback he got is minimal impact, so we should be ready to go on merging this. So if you can just put together the changes that you want to do, the cosmetic changes, and we can move it from draft to open, so we can review it and merge it. That would be great. Yeah.
I sure can do it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Good. Any other discussions on gas that were left out from ACD that we have to touch today? If not, we can move on to the next topic, which is peer DAS. And there's just one comment on the issue that is worth discussing, whether the CLs will be trusting blobs from the EL or not. And reading from the comment in the issue is that Lighthouse and Nimbus currently they do verify the blobs that come from the ELs, but Prism and Teku they trust them. And there's no response from Lodestar. So is there anything that we have to discuss there? Do we have to like reach upon agreement whether this has to happen the same way across all clients, or is this something that is okay if it's like implementation details? Francesco?
Yeah, so we definitely don't need to reach agreement. The reason we're talking about it is just that it's kind of it makes a big difference to decide to trust them or not. Because if you like when you're building a block, let's say you get 50 blobs or whatever, now you have to verify all of them in the critical path of building a block, and same thing for get blobs. So it's kind of I don't know, like a few hundred milliseconds extra that you don't really need there. So I think it would be best if we just agreed that there's no reason to be doing this, and all clients just drop this extra verification because the EL has already verified all these things. And yeah, like the EL could also give you an invalid payload, so which you cannot verify. So it's not that really this is protecting you even from a malicious EL if that's something that we're worried about for some reason. So yeah, on the side of like, do we need to all have the same implementation? No, but I think it would be best to just not have this verification. I think it's quite expensive.
Pari?
Yeah, maybe just to follow on that, I also didn't particularly get why CLs are re-verifying to begin with, and I wanted to understand if there was some particular reason. Mainly because I also agree the EL in general, like in general, the engine API has a trusted assumption. Like you expect that the EL behaves non-maliciously.
Yeah, I think for us, like the engine get blobs method, like verifying stuff on that, like at least get blobs v1. We mainly did it because it wasn't that expensive, at least with 6 blobs, whatever we have right now. But yeah, like others pointed out, uh, with PDAS, it will get more expensive and it doesn't make sense to do it. But like for the main block production flow, I think the reason we do it is because we want to verify KZG verify blobs that we receive from the builder. It is not mainly for local block production, but it is for verifying builder blobs. But like because both of the flows are like the local block production and the builder flow are sort of interlinked, and it wasn't as expensive before PDAS, we just did it for the local block production flow as well. But we would also probably avoid doing that for PDAS.
Francesco?
Yeah, same comment as Barnabas in the chat. I don't really get even in the builder flow why it would be important to verify them. Again, for the same reason that the builder could also just give you an invalid payload, and I mean you literally don't even have the payload, so you don't even have a chance to verify it.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, I think like we'll talk a little bit more about this internally. Yeah, that's a good point that like we cannot verify the payload at all, so it doesn't make that much sense.
Cool, thank you. Okay, I think that's solved. Unless there's comments from Nimbus, who also trust the blobs. If not, Sunnyside has comment. They wanted to add standardized EL metrics across ELs for Demetri. Would you care to expand on this?
Yeah, hi. So we have already been discussing for a while back, and we now got Ethereum repository for it, and then I just made a PR for get blobs v2 metrics. So if you guys have some time, then please have a look. Hopefully we can get it done by DevNet 3, then we can get some useful data for it.
Thank you. All right. Cool. Any other comments on PRDAS updates? that we want to touch upon this call? All right. If not, there's two last comments on the issue that might be important to take a look. So the first one is by Spencer. He's proposing to increase the gas from CLC opcode from 3 to 5 or 8. But he mentions there's no current benchmarks. But yeah, if you want to, do you want to raise comments on this or expand on the idea?
Hey guys. Yeah, I guess I just figured because we don't have benchmarks for COD yet, and because we probably want to finalize the FSAC spec very quickly, it might be nice or at least safe just to increase the gas cost from 3 to slightly higher. And kind of like with the kind of like with R1, we can always reduce it again in Amsterdam.
I think, yeah, okay, thank you. I think the appropriate way would be if we can raise a PR in the EIP for it to get approved and merge. Do you want to take care of that, or?
I guess if everyone is happy with that, or if anyone doesn't want to do that, then yeah. I mean, we can also wait, I guess, some days and get benchmarks, but just to finalize for FSAC faster, this would be probably the alternative.
Thank you. Ben?
I don't have any objections if people want to go for it, but also I'd just like to highlight that unlike say, so at the moment it's priced the same as add, but it's a single stack operation, so only pops one value, add pops two, and add is then multiply are quite complex instructions, and it's fairly simple. But I don't want to block an increase if that's what people want to go for.
My gauge is that it will be, well, yeah, it'll be much more efficient than add in general, but yeah. It feels safer, but yeah, if there's no objections, I can open PR.
Yeah, I think Barnabas mentions that it should be a better way to go if we open a PR and then proceed to add benchmarks to it. So I think that's a good way to go. So basically open a PR in the EIP and then just comment on it with the benchmarks. We wait for approvals and then we can see if it gets merged.
No, sounds good. Can I just jump in really quick as well? And I guess suggest adding like benchmarking requirements to the process for EIPs before they're CFI'd, because I guess we've had R1 and also CLZ, when you upload and precompile. To me, it makes sense that we have some kind of benchmarking requirements before we add new precompiles or uploads in the future.
Yeah, this is a great suggestion. I guess the place where we can put that is in the Tim mentions that before SFI. I think I agree. To be honest, we have a better benchmark infrastructure right now than we have a few months ago. So I think it should be safer to impose this requirement. And Tim mentions that open a PR to 7723 EIP, which basically specifies the steps to follow before SFI and something. So yeah. I think we should definitely open a PR for this and mention that we require benchmarking to be done before SFI and EIP. Yeah, if you want to go ahead, I think it should be a simple PR. Yeah, cool. Okay, thanks. Great. And one last comment from Ben. Do you want to make a case for this on your comment of EIP 7983?
Yeah. So there's a new EIP from Tony to change the transaction cap to 16 million rather than 30 million, and it seems to make sense to bring that forward to Fusaka rather than wait an entire fork to bring that in.
I shared the PR in the chat.
Yeah, and I mean it also resolves issues with, for instance, the Zen contract that we were looking at.
Yeah, thanks. I guess my main concern with this is that this is basically a new EIP, and I don't know how late in the process are we. I think pretty late, or
I'd propose changing it into a modification of the current one, because we're already introducing the transaction cap, and there was discussion whether it should be lower at the time, but since we didn't have any analysis of how much we could lower it to.
I see. Is there a PR open for this specific one for EIP 7825?
Yeah, I've put it in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so at the moment we have the transaction cap going into Fusaka at 30 billion. Yeah, and then rather than have a new EIP to lower it in the next fork, we might as well lower it in this fork.
Got it.
And change the existing one.
It's just a const change. Like we're introducing transaction gas limit cap already in this fork. So if we know that the cap that we're sitting in this fork is not the correct cap, why wait until next fork? Like if we are gonna do it, let's do it right from the beginning.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So the author of this PR is Tony. I don't believe he's here. But it would be nice to ping him to. In my sense is that we want to
No,
close
I'm
this
here.
PR and just open a new. Oh, sorry, Tony. Do you want to expand on why the new EIP and rather than?
Yeah, so I was creating this new AP just because I thought Fusaka is already frozen and 7.825 might not get the gas limit cap low enough where we should get it to. It feels like for parallelization and also for distributed proving, it might be beneficial to lower it even further. And I did some quick analysis. I have not published it yet, but basically, even if you lower it to 16 million, only 0.3% of the transactions will be affected. And 90% of them is Xen. So it's essentially, putting a cap on Xen.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I think the consensus seems to be that we want to make a PR for 7825 instead of making a new EIP. Is that correct? Does anybody have any objections to that?
So my argument is that this is kind of like a repressing change, so it's not a significant protocol change. That's why I feel like this could still make it into Fusaka without any big issue.
I remember Matt from Geth had issues with transaction cap as a whole, but I don't know if he would have an issue with lowering it even further. Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately my fear is something that's not happening on mainnet today. I wonder like what the trickle effect will be if L2s are adopting L1 directly, where there's a lot more activity with account abstraction bundling. I mean, if this is what people want to do, then I'm obviously not going to stop it. It seems all right. They can always split the transaction into multiple transactions. My only comment on this more broadly is that when we make changes, even though this is kind of a repricing, it's not an issue for clients to do. But when we make changes at this point in the development cycle, we don't really give the community any time to give feedback on this. And this is something that could be pretty impactful to people. And yeah, we've done this analysis. There's only a handful of transactions that are impacted, but there could be people who are building companies or projects based on these assumptions. And so if we make this change today, then there's only like maybe 1 month where someone can voice that this is going to impact them negatively. That said, I don't think we should stop. I don't think we should avoid doing this. It's just something that we need to consider. It's not always that it's easy for us to do. It's also that it needs to be legible and accessible for the community to put feedback on.
Any response to that comment? I think it's reasonable. Yeah, the downstream effects.
I mean, most examples that we've looked at, including what was it, OP stack upgrades, they can be split across multiple transactions. I think it makes it messier because I think OP stack needed about 9 million or something. So it was sort of raised and discussed previously when we were talking about lowering it initially, trying to find the right value. And then we went with leaving it at 30 million because, yeah, there was an urgency to find a value, and it seemed like we'll just leave it. However, with the issues around Zen that we've discovered, if we want to go to higher gas limits, then it's better to split the transactions that are splittable anyway.
Okay. So I think the consensus would be that we can go ahead and open the PR to the original EIP. Tony, is that okay for you? Do you want to open the PR and then we can start the discussion there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. All right, thank you. Any other comments? Any other topic that we should touch today?
I would like to say a bit more about Modex, if I can.
Yeah, sure.
So I did some rough estimation, and after 3xing the price, our worst case should be at about 31 megagas per second. So it would be like close to our minimal requirement for 100 million gas limit, but would be great to test it instead of estimating. So I would like to ask all EL client teams to push this change to the performance Modex branches. So we will see the results on the dashboard, like the exact results, not estimations. Especially important for Geth and Aragon, as it's most interesting how it will look on for them.
Thank you. Any objections to this? All right. Any other topics that anybody else wants to raise today? Cool. And Marius comments that he will push the change as soon as possible. All right, thank you. Well, if nothing else, I think we can end the call here. Thank you everyone for joining, and yeah, have a good rest of the day.
Thanks.